right, hi guys, welcome to the Fandom Family Chats. Tonight we are talking about The Resident, and this is us, and you will have The Resident for the first 45 minutes ish of this. So if you have not seen that show, listen to us talk about it and then go watch that show, and then you'll hear about This Is Us. And tonight we have me, I'm Maureen, I'm your host tonight. We also have our host Amanda.
Hello.
Our host Jeanette.
Hi.
And our host Joshua.
Hey, how's it going?
If you have not seen our intro video, go back and watch that. I know this is our premiere episode, but go back and watch that video and you'll see what we're all a part of and how this is running. So let's just get right into it here. All right, so first things first, biggest thing in The Resident is...
Baby's here.
What kind of baby?
The robot baby. I was going to be nice, but I'll go ahead and say it. It was horrible. It looked horrible. I didn't like the baby. I want a real baby.
I mean, if they couldn't do the real, I just wish they hadn't showed it like they did. I mean, show it one time, move on, and I mean, we don't have to keep zooming in on its weird, creepy face. I didn't like it at all.
It's like they're trying to prove a point,
right?
It was we didn't need to see it that up close.
No, and I laughed. I think I may have told you, Amanda. I'm like, I swear my daughter has more realistic baby dolls than that. There had to have been something else. Like, it was awful.
We were in church once, and my friend's daughter was sitting next to me, and she likes baby dolls, and I don't like dolls. They creep me out. I think they're disturbing. And it was during worship, so we're all singing the song, and I just heard, "Mama," and I looked down, and the baby's head is turning towards me, and I almost peed my pants right there in church. And started praying in the Holy Ghost. Like, oh, that was so scary.
Yeah, we got a couple that are realistic and like talk to you and like they make tons of noise, and I can't.
That shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah,
that's what this baby was. It was one of those like Baby Alive, I think is what they're called, which is the most horrifying name you could. It's like Chucky for the 90s or for the 2000s.
It reminded me of, like, do y'all remember the Twilight movie? Like when Renesmee's born, and it's like the weirdest looking baby. That's what it reminded me of. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awful.
This baby has powers too.
Yeah.
Josh, what did you think of the baby?
I was kind of a little perplexed that, at first I realized that it was, obviously a doll. I get it, COVID. But then they animated the face and the eyes, and I was like, no, yeah, don't do that.
I think like even the hands up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was rather scary. I mean, it was just kind of like, just let it sleep, let it be asleep. It's okay. We know it's alive. It's fine. It's happy.
Exactly. And you could shoot it from the back of its covered head from a few feet away. Like, we didn't need close-ups of the baby.
You just wrap up a blanket and just hold the blanket. I mean, like, we know we could have done one quick shot.
Exactly.
And then that's it. Like, I don't know why we have to do it over. I mean, like, we zoomed in on its face over and over again. Half the time the baby wasn't even covered up. And I'm like, it's a newborn. I mean, it probably should be bundled quite a bit, but it wasn't. It was just out in the open.
Well, I mean, it's in Georgia, so it's kind of hot.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, we're stuck on the baby. This happens later on, but I don't want to forget it. Did anybody else notice they left? And when
all of the stuff in the room,
they left everything, the bags.
Her purse was in there, like
everything. They just left.
Conrad's dad's just gonna buy all new stuff for them. That's all.
I did not notice that.
Right, exactly. Stock options, exactly.
I swear we love The Resident.
We do. Yes,
we
and
do.
We love the
absolutely.
name. We love the name because of what is the inside joke, Josh, for the name?
I know. When I first heard the name, I cracked up laughing, and then I watched the episode, and then I saw it twice, and I saw it with my family, and I was like, "You guys are gonna laugh at this," and I had to rewind it because they didn't hear her say Gigi, and I was like, "What?" I rewound it, and they were like, "Oh my goodness!" But of course, obviously, for all the people that cross over that watch Gilmore Girls, we've got Logan and Gigi. So I thought it was just hilarious, So now I guess he's got his Gilmore Girl.
I have to be honest with you. You kept saying the inside joke, and I was like, why is Georgiana funny? I don't understand this. But then when you put Gigi, I was like, oh, I'm ashamed of myself.
Yeah, when I heard it was the first thing. And I think that was one of the things they talked about. Like, I forgot who had mentioned that about even in Gilmore Girls using the term Gigi for the character that's in there, Gigi, that it was
the
daughter. Yes, right. Yeah. So not to go off into that, but I think it's kind of funny that somebody thought they could use that joke twice. So
a lot of people compare Christopher to Logan.
They do.
Why'd you have to ruin it, Amanda? I didn't remember that.
I just made it better.
No, he's not Christopher. What the president?
Getting off topic here.
The back on topic.
One mention of Logan, and we're all gonna get off track.
Let's go to AJ because we love Georgiana Grace. And by the way, some of us admins called the mother thing, the mother names.
Yes,
that's true.
Could not remember the mother's names, but I had a feeling they were going to name them after the mothers after the episode before that.
Same.
But that story with AJ, I don't know. Did anyone else? And again, we love The Resident so much. It's why we're doing this. Did anyone else think the voiceover was weird?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Glad I'm not alone with that because that's not that show's MO.
No,
right.
It was different.
I think maybe because they don't do it a lot, or I don't know. It was a little odd to me, but
it felt like they were trying to pull nostalgia, which I think ruined it a bit for me because you don't pull that unless you're trying to say goodbye to something.
Yeah.
Right.
And since we now know it's been renewed, I don't know. It felt really. And of course, they filmed this beforehand, so maybe they were preparing either way. But I don't know. It still felt dead to me.
I mean, I swear, again, I love The Resident. Okay, and so I don't want anybody to take this wrong, but I feel like this whole season has just been just a little less. Of what it has been. There's been episodes where I'm like, it was not as exciting as I hoped it would be. So, which is the opposite of how I felt in the other season. So. I don't know. Maybe it's just COVID and things got rushed and, it's fine. I'm still going to watch next season, every episode. Absolutely. I love it, but it's just felt weird this season.
I think it was a weird year for everybody. And I think we're obviously giving it grace, but it just felt, the story though of AJ was really, it was heartbreaking.
It definitely was.
I didn't realize that because I knew he was adopted, but I didn't realize he had gone through that many foster homes and adoption people that had turned him away. I didn't. Did anyone?
Yeah,
did they say that before?
I didn't know that.
I don't think so because I didn't know that part either.
They alluded to it, but it wasn't clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell that he had a rough time with foster homes, but it wasn't really very clear. They almost made it seem like his foster parents were like there from the get-go, and that was the bond was so strong, but now we know why.
Definitely. Did anybody else fall in love with Carol just a little bit more?
Yeah, that's his mom, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
So, I am horrible with names too, so if you'll forgive me, I might be like, oh, and that character, you can fill in the name later.
Sometimes I have to look them up.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, she proved to be pretty mothers typically are, but I mean, she was pretty selfless in that scene to the point where, I mean, she didn't take any of the credit for what was happening. She put it all on Mina. Like Mina was the most important thing in the world to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you this though, when Kane walked in, my heart dropped because I did not know which way they were going with that. I was like, oh no, it was like Hodad all over again, and I'm like, and then, okay, great. He's the savior coming in. And that whole Kane story, I tell you, you were talking a minute ago about how this season's been kind of different. I binge watched all the seasons till this current season. And so it was like, of course I watched maybe like 2, 3, 4 episodes sometimes at a time. And, so it was real dramatic and everything else like that. And then it, like you said, it just kind of leveled out. But the whole Kane story is kind of like where it felt like it peaked. And I thought they were going to go somewhere. And then it just kind of dropped back out.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, there was obviously a lot of character development, but
it was pretty rapid though. And you didn't see a lot of it. It was just like, okay, he can barely walk, barely move. Oh, look, now he can do surgeries. There wasn't really and I understand that was a COVID thing and the amount of time they had to film certain scenes and they need to get to a certain point by a certain time. I get that. But I still wish that we could have had, I don't know, just a little something to show that recovery process.
Yeah.
And
even
a bit of a time jump too, isn't there? I think because of COVID, if I remember correctly, I think they said they alluded to something that they
it started with the wedding, right? But the wedding had jumped ahead. They jumped from the wedding episode, they jumped ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It was it was quite a bit of time. I mean, it wasn't just a couple of weeks.
I think it was like July 2021. I think June 2021.
Well, the beginning of the season started with, you know, the COVID and then all of a sudden we were to the point that the COVID was basically over. So it's even in the future of where we are right now. So I think
over a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that does make a little bit of sense, but still, it's not. It doesn't. It's not very rewarding. You know, it's like you almost want to see that middle ground in between. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I would say even the part that we saw, like even like let's talk about like his personality change. Like since he met Rose, I felt like it was really rushed. Like it's like he just met her, and all of a sudden he's a better person. Like there was no like I don't know, there was no build up to it really. No. It was I don't know, very quick.
And the way
season's just compressed.
Yes. And the way he and Rose were at the end of the episode when like she was waiting for him and then she kissed him. I don't know, that felt really weird. It almost felt like she was suddenly wholly devoted to Kane, not just with him, but devoted to him.
Yeah.
And that that felt really weird. And I think that seeing how Kane, how he's like, well, no, I got this offer and I might take it because I don't like this place enough to make hundreds of dollars or hundreds of thousands more. I could make millions, that sort of thing. So you can see there's some level of him that didn't change, or maybe that's all show, but we have to be distrustful of that because we didn't watch him progress.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
We didn't actually watch him change. So we have to assume that either, oh, sweet, he's a totally awesome guy now, or we have to assume, okay, what are you hiding? And maybe that was their intent, that we're constantly questioning him. Maybe that was the intent. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But I did like how when he came back and AJ said, you didn't answer my call. How'd you know where we were? And he said, that's the only reason you would call me. And he came to help. Like I felt like that more than anything else, I felt like it was an altered Kane defining moment.
I agree with that to a certain extent, but I also think that was feeding his God complex, you know, because he came in at the right moment, at the right time, without anybody having to tell him what to do. So it was almost like, I'm here, you know what I mean? Let me save the day. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, I don't know. I still don't trust him, you know?
No,
I think it was very poetic justice that he ended up on a ventilator, you know, after what had happened, you know,
more with that.
I know I would too. Exactly. But, you know, you saw some of it, you know, I mean, really, he destroyed that family, you know, that woman died, and then he almost lost the entire hospital and got away with it, you know? So it's like, I think if that were to happen to somebody, that would feed their God complex, because they almost like, hey, I got away with it. I can do anything. I'm untouchable, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a fan of Kane. I'm not a fan of Kane. I mean, I'm a fan of the actor. I've seen him a bunch of other things, but
I'm a hoper.
Right.
That's not a word, but I'm going to make it one. I'm a hoper for a better Kane.
I agree with that. That's a good word.
We all can, but I mean, I did like watching Kane and Billy work together.
Yes.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
And I think that because Billy is so much like him in mentality, I think that I really think that she, more than Rose, was the reason he came back.
Yeah.
Because I think that Billy has a way with speaking to people she doesn't come off as a compassionate woman. She's very straightforward. She is loyal to the people that she loves, but everyone else can kind of kiss her butt as far as she's concerned.
Yeah.
And that was another character that just kind of like threw me for a loop when she first walked in. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? What do we got now?
Now, did we see her before, or is that why they kept talking about the backstory, because we didn't actually see her before?
No, I don't think we saw her before. Not until
saw her before,
help with the baby. Yeah. Or with the pregnancy. Yeah.
Okay.
Then they went into the backstory. So it was really weird. It was just kind of like another character they threw in that they already knew, you know. But this show has done that. I mean, the miscarriage story, you know, that to me, I mean, having binge watched the whole thing and then all of a sudden them talking about the miscarriage was kind of like, wait, what did I miss? Did I miss an episode, or did I miss something? And then I remembered, oh no, I didn't. They've alluded to it. They've talked about it, but it wasn't huge part of, you know, a huge storyline until they went back and, you know, flashback. So they've done that. That's kind of their MO.
That's true. That's a good point.
It is.
So is with Kane, I mean, we see a huge change. Obviously it's connected to Kane, it's not Kane, but in AJ's mom and what she went through. And so I think let's talk about that. Let's talk about what happened with Carol. Right? That's her name.
Yeah. AJ's mom.
Yeah. that was kind of funny because
funny,
not funny in a bad way, but funny in an ironic kind of way. Like you're seeing all this progression, and then all of a sudden it's just like the rug gets ripped out from underneath you, and it's like, what in the world, But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And who was it that pointed out about what were they doing in the hallway? Like they were working on it. Was that you, Amanda, that mentioned that? It was like,
of what?
I was like, why is she just chilling out in the middle of a hallway? Like AJ's mom, and she's just
they had her on
in the hallway.
The only thing I can think of, and I got to go back and look at the scene. The only thing I can think of is maybe it was for like dramatic effect because the lighting or something. I don't know.
I was like, maybe
was it before surgery or after?
It was after surgery, I think. Was it, or was it before she had surgery?
Hold on, all my stuff's in order. It was. She hasn't had surgery yet because the next thing they know is that she has a fractured spine and she needs the neurosurgery.
Is that where AJ's talking to her in the hallway? That's what you were talking about?
Okay.
Yeah, that was weird. Maybe they didn't have enough beds for AJ's mom.
It just threw me off. I made a note of it.
Public healthcare.
I think my other note too would be, okay, so AJ's mom is in the surgery, right? Kane, the only neurosurgeon who's able to do this, is not there, not responding to AJ's calls. So they're actively trying to do surgery with people who is one who's just a resident in that surgery, and the other doesn't know how to do that kind of surgery. And AJ decides it's a good time to start throwing chairs at the window.
Yeah.
Like,
that frustrated me.
You're a surgeon. You should know more than anybody that throwing that chair at a window during an active operation could startle someone and they could cut some. Like, I get you're mad, but I mean, I think that was because Mina has softened AJ, and I've liked that progression, and I've liked to see him grow. So he's still AJ, he's still the Raptor, but he sees things through a different lens now. And the fact that he reverted back to super irrational angry it was a bummer moment for me.
Yeah.
No, but I think because it was his mom, it's just like, I mean, I know you all are moms, but especially as a guy, I think your mom's like he said, the number one,
Yeah.
And so when she's in trouble, I guess, sometimes you're not always thinking straight, so you react out of passion and emotion versus, calculated thought, which I've always seen him to be somebody who reacts or acts out of very calculated thought. Every move that he made always seems very calculated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Almost like a machine. And he's even alluded to that, when they were trying to get him to use the, what was it? I can't remember the name of the machine, but that robotic machine that going from there. And he's like, only tools I need are these two hands,
Mm-hmm.
And so he's always been very calculated and very confident in who he is. And so now that somebody he cares about so much is in peril, and the other person who he cares about so much is in the other side of the world, all of that calculated, machinery of a man is just out the window, and it's just raw emotions,
that makes sense.
Throws chairs, chairing, you know what I mean, throwing chairs.
Yeah. She would have thrown it at the wall instead of the window that the surgeons are on the other side of.
I mean, they were showing like Billy's surgery she messed up on, and I was already on edge, and then he's throwing things, which makes me start jumping. It was a whole ordeal in my living room. I was not okay.
Yeah, that was quite an experience.
Well, what about what are the names? Jake and Greg and their daughter? Like,
yes,
I love that little girl.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I love her, and her story is super sad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know this is our first. It's a bummer that our first resident podcast is the finale.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a downer. But the previous episodes, when we first meet Sammy, and I'm getting emotional, but when she grabs Jake's arm and she says, "No, don't leave me," it just, and then to see her fully recovered and finding people who are going to love her, even though it means it's going to be harder for them, for that little girl to just know that she's worth value, that she's worth living.
Absolutely.
I just love that they put that little, because I think that is the redeeming story of this episode for me anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know this wasn't in the finale, but in the previous, speaking of, in a previous episode, I get to tell you, when she started eating that green jello, and I'm glad they brought it back, they called back to it in this episode, but when she started eating the green jello for the first time and Dr. Bell just kind of looks over, and just the look on his face, the realization like everything's going to be okay. It was just like, there was so much emotion and power and just in that look and in that face. And he's like, put his hands up, like, and like, yes, oh, okay.
That was a great scene.
That was great.
Yes.
So I'm glad they kind of did a little callback to that in this episode with the green jello.
Yeah. That's the other bummer too, that COVID COVID has done a lot of really terrible things over the past year, and it's been really terrible to a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And so I feel weird complaining about what it's done to the show, but I wish that we would have seen more of the development between Belle and his stepson too.
Yeah.
We didn't get to, but I understand that is not as big of a deal as it other things that are going on in the world right now. But as it pertains to fictional things, I wish we would have gotten to see more of that, because the fact that they connect as well as they do now, and the way that Jake was like, Grandpa, and his face lit up when he said Grandpa, and Dr. Bell was just so excited. I mean, he is the biggest altered character, I think, in the entire show.
Oh, I mean,
absolutely.
From the hands of death and destruction to Grandpa.
He's one of my favorite characters now.
No, absolutely. And his progression and his story, and again, I kind of have a unique perspective because I've binged it, and of course I know there's millions of other people who have done that too, but it's kind of like you see him, and I still remember episodes not too long ago just hoping that would be this last episode he's in, you know what I mean, that he'd be gone, you know what I mean, that would be the end. He's gonna get what he deserves, and then to see him now as Grandpa, and it's like, okay, it's a big redemption story. But I think that also alludes to the reconciliation with his son, because he knew him as Hodad, as who he was, and then now that he's come back into his life, he sees him as this different individual, and I think that's kind of what's really helped him progress. But yeah, it would have been nice to have seen it, but
and I know it sounds like we're talking bad about The Resident this whole time. I really think that this finale was meant to be a feel-good episode, but I think that they were serving a dual purpose, because obviously actors and cast and crew know before the audience does when they're renewed. But I think the way COVID worked and the way filming had to work, I think it's likely that either if the script wasn't already written before it was announced that they have a new season, then they filmed before they knew they had a new season.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's why this episode felt so weird, because it feels like they were trying to prepare for either or.
Yeah,
either this
I agree.
end and it's a feel-good episode and we're tying things up together, or it's a new beginning where there's a whole bunch of new possibilities. So I think that's just why it felt a little off, because I think that they had no choice but to prepare for two realities.
That happens a lot in a lot of shows, where they don't know if they're going to get picked up again until production is way done. And I know that's the way it's been with COVID. I've seen some behind the scenes stuff now too, where they filmed a ton of things, and it's just like they just don't know what's going to happen, and it happens in so many different places.
What about looking for a new liver for Blues Guy?
For Blues Guy?
Yeah, that's what Amanda's notes.
That's his name. I'm sorry.
I was really wondering what you all were laughing about. I felt like I was like missing something.
Don't worry.
For the audience who cannot actually see our faces and you're only hearing our voices, Amanda and I have a shared document of her notes up so I can interact with her notes and she can see them. And so I'm picking out weird things in there and just staring at her until she notices I've highlighted them.
Blues Guy.
Severa's laughing, and there's no reason to be laughing. That's why we're not really insensitive people. I'm just making fun of my co-host.
I just saw a little thing on I think it was Instagram or something like that. It was a clip of a guy who had turned blue, and he was on Oprah way back in the 90s. So
that was an episode of The Resident too.
I was like, that's right. I forgot. There was a guy that
Yep, there was.
It was the same thing too. It was like silver something poisoning. I'm like,
it's
okay.
Blues Guy, not Blue Guy.
Blues. The father of the lawyer.
The singer.
Yeah.
How cool is it though that they tied that into where Jake is the one who fought for him to get a new liver without even, I mean, that just shows how kindness is rewarded for Jake to fight for this guy he knew nothing about him personally other than that, I know this guy, he's a good guy. He turned his life around. Let's help him out. And then for his daughter to be a lawyer who's going to solve his, I just love how they tied that together. I think that was really cool that they just, again, this was a heavily feel-good episode. There wasn't really any trauma. Even the trauma, the only trauma there was when the baby came and Devin's like, oh wait, got a trauma. Give me a minute. And then Leland's like, no, it's all right. I got it. Go ahead. That was the only trauma in the whole episode.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with that, but it's kind of funny because, and again, I say funny, just ironic because it just felt so weird because I know like even Conrad's like, I think this is the best day of my life. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I'm not feeling that because AJ's mom and this poor guy over here. So it was kind of a little weird for me. I mean, I don't think everybody maybe felt that way, but it was kind of like, I get it. They're trying to do so many positive things. At the same time, I was like, oh man, you know.
But with this show too, I think that they have to balance hope with reality.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think the show does a really good job of doing that. And I think the show is filled with so much hope for new beginnings and hope for new things. Even AJ's mom, as bad as that situation was, they left us with a hope for a new beginning for her. That not only, I mean, her cancer is completely gone, which is stage 4 cancer gone, which is absolutely unheard of. I mean, it's not absolutely unheard of, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, to get all the pieces out of her spine at the last minute. I mean, it's although the situation, she's still out when it ends, there's a ton of hope there.
Yeah.
When you're watching a show or in a hospital, I guess the only thing you can have is hope, you know?
Yeah, if you lose that, I mean, what's left?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that is one thing though about the liver that I thought was a little too neatly tied up. Because I feel like that wasn't reality.
I think there was still something going to go wrong.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I still had some questions. I mean, obviously the donor was having problems with it. It was putting out, you know, proteins that were folded incorrectly, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I guess that's not going to affect him. I mean, he was 70 years old. Maybe by the time it starts affecting him, it'll already be towards his natural end of life. I don't know, I guess, what the thought was behind that, but
yeah.
I think he's still on the transplant list, but I think they will like
causing some time
over.
Because they said that a liver, even though it's malfunctioning, but it's still working, would be better than no liver at all that's doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because it still does part of its job. It just doesn't fully function the right way.
Yeah. Liver's a very, how do I say, robust organ I've learned a lot about lately.
Did you do your research for the show?
No, not for the show. No, my dad has liver cancer, so not to bring things down, but it's you know, it's kind of interesting to see kind of some of the stuff that's going on there. But he's actually done some directed chemotherapy and radiation before, so hey, let's hope it goes as well as it did for AJ's mom.
So this story had to have a pretty personal connection to you then.
It did. It was actually kind of I guess maybe that's why some of the other stuff, the happy stuff that was going on, that even like Conrad, I guess is the best day of my life, felt a little overshadowed. But
I would agree with that though. I think that AJ's mom in the end did get a little overshadowed.
Yeah.
Even the joy of her cancer diagnosis being gone, I think was a little overshadowed by baby.
It was.
I would agree.
But it was Gigi, so
it was a robot.
Robot baby.
Okay, now let's move on to this one because this one really ticked me off as it was supposed to. The biotech sellout. I am so mad at that guy.
Me too.
Last episode, I was in love with him. I was like, this guy, he doesn't want money. He's so great. He's so good. And the second he has an opportunity, he screws everybody over. Like, what a bummer.
I kind of had a feeling. I mean, I had a feeling. I don't know. I just knew. I was like, okay, he's going to be, we need another like villain of the hospital. And I was waiting for it to be, you know, and it's Big Pharma. That's what it's going to be. So
yeah. And I think too that like, I think everyone had that reservation except for Devin was like, let's just give him a chance. And then when he seemed to do it like with Rose's thing and she was cured, he still seemed to be like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. Let's cure more people. I think that turned everyone and convinced them, and maybe that was his plan.
Maybe
he was so sure it was going to work that he planned, okay, let's start looking into people who can buy this out.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed by that guy.
I know.
It's a terrible thing. I can imagine that, once it worked, and after that, he probably just saw nothing but zeros in his mind. And
yep,
if you get fixated on it, what are you going to do about that?
Right.
Which is, I think, such a shame.
That's going to be something we see again. They're not done with that storyline. Conrad will not let that just go.
No, that was one thing I loved. I loved the return of OG Conrad Hawkins staring at that guy. Yes, he's not going to be so boring and happy anymore. He's going to be angry, and I like angry Conrad.
I do too. I mean, that's been the worst. I mean, I've said that all season. That as much as I love him, I've just been so bored with the storyline. So
can he be happy and angry? I mean, can we not have it both ways?
Yeah.
Like I want him and Nick to be together and happy and everything, but I still want something.
Yes, I agree.
Something. I don't know. Anything.
Yeah. He was pretty adorable at the end of the episode, though, when she said, "Have you ever seen anything more beautiful or as beautiful or something?"
That montage was so sweet.
Oh, yes, that was pretty awesome. I loved that.
Yeah,
that was nice.
But you know what, though, that did feel like a real finale kind of.
It did.
That was kind of like
I thought
too scary. It was like, oh my goodness, that's like happily ever after. It's the end of the show kind of thing.
There was a couple different moments like that in the show that I thought, oh, well, if I didn't know it was renewed, I would think this was it.
This is it. Yeah.
I think they just wrote it not really knowing.
Yeah.
Fox would have to be really stupid to cancel it. I mean, I haven't looked at the ratings, but I can imagine it's doing really, really well.
I mean, if our group is any indication.
Yeah, exactly.
I think part of it is because what Mina's character with her exit and then Barrett's possible exit and things that are being said behind the scenes, supposedly, I think that was probably, I think they probably had to seriously consider stopping because of all of that. But the other hard thing, I need clarification on this. Did Billy say she was raped when she was 13? And got pregnant when she was 13? Did she say that?
I thought
she got pregnant when she was 13. I know that.
I think so, because the kid's 18. Gosh. And I mean, she's what? I mean, probably like my age, maybe even a little younger. I mean,
no, and Nick said 13 last night.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard the number.
Yeah.
That makes me so mad.
It's awful.
Can you imagine what that must have been like for her? And like, where are her parents? Like, she doesn't say what her parents did in that situation. She doesn't seem to have any relationship with any family or anybody at all other than Nick. Right. Not that it's her parents' fault that she got raped, but I want to know how her parents helped her through that situation.
I feel like she might not have had a
stable home life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I mean, just based on her character, I just see her as she probably dealt with it alone. I mean, and this storyline makes a lot of sense as to
how sad
her character and the way she came in and just everything about her. So
that's a child.
I know.
2 years older than my baby.
It's awful. I mean,
like, that's horrifying.
Imagine.
Yeah.
So I hope that in the next what, Josh?
No, I was saying it does seem like she's kind of dealt with it on her own, especially even now, like her demeanor and character, like she didn't want to meet him. Obviously, I understand that brings back a lot of emotion, a lot of bad memories that I'm sure she wants to not remember. But at the same time, it kind of goes back to dealing with stuff alone. Like she's like pushing everything out the way.
I hope that him showing up at the end, I hope that they're able to find some sort of relationship, because maybe that would help her heal, and or maybe it wouldn't. I don't know, but I mean, for his sake, I mean,
somebody we've seen already on the show too, because they didn't actually show. They didn't actually show who he was or his face or anything like that. So that's interesting. It'd be crazy if it was somebody we've already seen.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I don't know. I don't see any other reason why they wouldn't show who he is. Unless they got a PA or something like that, just somebody. We're not going to pay for anybody to, have their name in the credits.
That's true. Yeah,
it was actually an extra or a crew member who was behind the video, the camera usually. You're already getting paid. Just say something.
We're just gonna put the light so you can see the silhouette. It's gonna work, trust me.
I think too that we have to remember that one of her big qualms about meeting him is she said, how do I tell him his dad raped me when I was, I mean, essentially what she's saying is, how do I tell this kid that's desperate to know his lineage that his father raped a 13-year-old? And that's why I gave you up, because you hurt too much to remember that. I mean, how do you tell any kid that? Because whether she means it to or not, if she tells him that, that kid is going to internalize that and blame himself. Like, I'm the product of this horrible, evil, twisted thing.
Right.
And so I get that. I get that aspect for sure. And I think too that with what happened to her and him, I think that that's probably what she did too. I mean, she had to give this kid up. She didn't have anybody. I mean, she said she and Nick fell apart and she didn't really have Nick to talk to about it. So that's why I can see that's why she does things on her own, because she never, from that time on, she never really had anyone she could share it with.
Yeah. Which I think is another reason I'm loving like the mentor relationship with Kane. I kind of like that both of them might end up having a friendship in each other, since it seems like they don't really have much of that outside of it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Can we talk about my man for a minute? We haven't even mentioned
Devin.
I mentioned him very much.
Because I've been waiting for the Devin moment here.
I brought up Devin and Leela. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't remember.
That was the only trauma in the show.
That's true.
Devin found an excuse to go stand by Leela for a non-emergency.
Mm-hmm.
That's
when it obviously paid off by the ending. You know, it worked out in his favor.
By that ending. Just because I was like, wait, what is happening? What is happening right now? Because they were going through so many different scenes, and then all of a sudden that was there. I was like, oh,
I know, because I think I was in the middle of doing dishes, and I was like, hold on, what's going on? And I had to like back it up. I was like, oh my goodness,
rewind.
So excited. Yes. Like, I've been waiting for this. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was obvious, you know.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like them together. And I think my favorite Leela Devin scene together was when her name popped up on his phone. And Mina was like,
as a matchmaker.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it was almost like light bulbs for him, like, okay.
But Devin's face after he saw her and she appeared was just, oh my, I had to pause it while I laughed. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But did you hear what she asked him tonight, which is kind of a big deal?
Oh yeah. Do you want to, she said you'd be a great dad.
Yeah. But didn't she ask him though?
Do you want kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he said, of course, right?
You know what that means? She's already got the wedding dress, the date planned. I mean, everything. She's asking that question.
We're planning.
It's already done. He just doesn't know it yet.
Did she say her parents also had an arranged marriage, or was it? Because I know Devin's parents obviously did. Did she say hers did? I can't. It was in that interaction when she popped up on his match, but I don't remember what she said.
Maybe I don't remember either.
I know her parents are trying to have her an arranged marriage, which makes me think they probably
did too.
Had.
I mean, that's still fairly common.
I was gonna say, for their culture, I feel like it's probably very likely that they were. Mm-hmm.
I do like them together, though. I think they fit, and I think that I think Devin needs someone, and I don't mean this as a dig at Devin. I think he needs someone not as flashy, because I think he had what was her name who worked for the medical company? Julian. He had her, and he's had a lot of I like the women, but I think for Devin, he needs someone that he can really care for, who will let him care for them as much as they care for him. That's what I mean by non-flashy. So I guess non-flashy is not the right term. I just think that he needs someone to care for.
Yeah.
What, Josh?
Somebody who's not royalty.
Yeah, I wasn't into that one at all.
No. And that was a weird thing to bring her back for that. Like, it was just, they only brought her back so we could think Devin was having a baby.
Yeah,
that was literally her only purpose.
It's dumb.
That was silly.
But I have to admit, like, I mean, while I love him with Leela, so I'm totally on board with that. When they first had the interaction with him and Billy, I was for sure that those two were going to hook up, just because it was like kind of that instant hatred. And I thought we were going to have that built up, pent up tension, and all that, which I guess, anything's still possible with both of them still in the cast, but
no,
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Nothing's forever, right?
No,
I don't know.
Maybe I'm
tuning into my I might be tuning into my Grey's Anatomy mind here, thinking that no one's going to last forever.
I haven't
I will
watched
say
yet
this though about Leela. I still kind of don't trust her a little bit. So
really?
yeah, yeah, because I still feel like they're gonna like keep like an ace up their sleeve for an episode where she's gonna mess up something because of her dyslexia, and it's just gonna be this whole huge story arc of whether she's gonna leave or go or somebody's gonna press charges or something. I feel like it's just gonna eventually the other shoe's gonna drop, in a subsequent season maybe, so it's kind of like, she has to be very precise on everything she's doing, and when she can't, it's like, okay, so
See, I think she's gonna be another AJ.
Could be.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that because she's gonna have to master everything. She's gonna have to know exactly, calculated 100% on what to do. But
and you see how much like she's unwilling to do something if she doesn't know it. Even with Dr. Bell, like Dr. Bell had to push her really hard to get her to do what she did in that operating room.
Yeah. See, and that's good and bad, because I feel like in an operating room, you have to know what you're doing, and you can't be so calculated if something goes wrong. I mean, if it was a computer, yeah, okay, cool. 1, 2, 3. But this is a person, something's going to bleed, something's going to rupture, something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to know what to do from there, but you got to be able to change gears pretty fast. And if she's able to do that, I guess that's probably good.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think it'll be to her benefit. I think that she'll take that and learn everything she can before she's willing to actually be taken out of residency and put, because they aren't gonna be like, oh, you don't know what you're doing? Tough. You're gonna start performing surgeries on people. I mean, toughen up, sister. So I think that she will use that. But I mean, it could be that way too. I see her more taking the fall for someone else or getting pinned for something else because she has this issue. It would be really easy if she's in a surgery with another villain who can be like, no, that wasn't me. Check the tapes. It was her. Her hand was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Very true. Very.
Devin seems to fall for people who fall off the face of the earth. So
that's you're dropping.
What about, is anybody else liking the Marshall and Kyle?
They're so cute.
The relationship.
I thought it was so funny. I just loved I don't know, talking about stock options and everything else. They were so funny.
Oh.
I love Kyle and Marshall together. Like at the baby shower episode, I loved watching those two together.
Yes.
You ever see the movie Two Grumpy Old Men? Or Grumpy Old Men? That's what they're like. And I love that.
I agree.
That's funny. That's awesome.
And I love how the movie. The what?
Now I'm gonna have to go watch Grumpy Old Man.
You're welcome.
There you
go.
I love how redemptive this show can be, because the relationship between Conrad and Marcia was so broken, and the relationship between Kyle and Nick was so broken. But the show, I mean, on top of providing hope, the show shows how much you can have reconciliation with those people who mean something important to you if you put work into it. And I love that they showed that, and I love that Marshall and Kyle get to be in their lives again. I think that's great.
Yeah, go to hospital, get healed.
Yeah, and they're just so cute.
They are.
So I think the last thing we really need to talk about, I mean, we didn't really talk about Kit the whole episode. So before I say what I was going to say, what do we think about Kit? I love her as CEO. I like that she finds workarounds instead of cutting people. She finds a different way to get money instead of take money away.
I think she was destined to have that position. I mean, she's perfect as the face of Chastain. I mean, it's just like that character in itself has just had kind of a how do I say, progression that is just really like embodied the actual hospital. You know, such a great front forward looking, kind of face for it. I think.
Yeah. And I think she's smart enough that even though Big Pharma's coming in, I think Kit is the type of character who is not going to sacrifice morals for anything else. No. I think she's going to do what's right for the hospital and the patients before she makes any other decisions. And that's what the hospital has missed for so long, I think.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I mean, Belle did say that Kit put Chastain in the black, and that's why they had to sell out to the big pharmacy court.
Even Conrad and Devin said that. And you know that when they're saying that they aren't saying, oh, this is going to be fine now. They're saying, okay, it's another fight, but at least we have the ability to fight now.
Yeah.
Whereas before we would have had to close. Yeah. But I love Kit and Belle together.
Me too. I feel like that one's
stronger.
I feel like they've been dragging that on for a really long time of them actually getting together. Like I thought maybe we'd get to see it here in the finale, like a more.
Well, we've seen them kiss and go out to dinner before, haven't we?
Have we seen them kiss
in his office?
Yeah,
think so.
Where did I? No, well, scratch that. I must have missed that.
Binge watch it again, Jeanette.
I want more though. I want more.
It must have been so little that I'm like, I've totally blocked that. I know it's been like kind of implied, but I just don't remember seeing it. I don't know.
I swear, I thought I put a note in here that said, I completely forgot Dr. Belle and Kit were together until that last scene. Like I was like, oh yeah, I knew that. I completely forgot just because they don't pay any attention to him ever.
They don't.
See, I like their subtle, slow build. I like how they seem to gravitate to each other wherever they are in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because there is very rarely a scene where they aren't together for long. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Did I word that backwards? There's very rarely a scene where they are apart for long, is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So, so I like that that's there because it shows that it's more than just romance, that they care for each other, and it's not sexual yet. So it's genuinely a build of emotion and feeling and care and protection of each other, because they've done that since the beginning. They have both protected the other, but not, and I think that's what's good for Belle, is because it hasn't been a protection that has gone against doing something wrong to protect. Kit has been showing him how you can protect and still do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. So I think we're going to switch to the resident here in a minute, or this is us in a minute. So do we think Kane is going to leave?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I really don't know.
I think that if he was going to leave, it would have happened already.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think he's going to leave. I think they're gonna, flirt with it a little bit more, make it more intense. He's probably going to get some ungodly offer. Kit's going to come back and use some of that $950 million to, convince him in some way, but still without throwing the baby with the bathwater, and still making it work, because I think the way she was advocating for him too, saying that, he's come full circle, that was kind of, I don't want to say a little surprising, but it was, I guess, a little surprising. So I can imagine her fighting to keep him, versus saying, and especially because I really feel like if he goes, Billy's gone too.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think Billy would stay, because I think Billy is actually a changed person. I think Billy will stay where she feels it's right to stay rather than where she wants to go.
And I think she can move up.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Exactly.
More quickly at testing than she can at John Hopkins.
And that's the other thing, is that in the last episode, she said to him, "You're right. I do want your job." So I mean,
she did
that. Yeah. But I think the other issue too is that with Kane, I mean, for him to stay, he would have to have a full turnaround of character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he won't. I mean, hundreds of thousands is peanuts to him compared to what he used to make.
Yep.
Right.
So Rose and Kit would have to work pretty darn hard to get him to stay, and maybe he will. But I'm hopeful that his character is altered enough that he will stay, because I think he's a worthy character to keep developing.
I think so too.
But I hope next season we get a full season where we actually witness and be a part of the developments of these stories.
Oh yeah,
because otherwise I think it's too contrived.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Y'all think we're gonna see Mina again?
Yes.
No,
not for a while, but yes.
I don't know.
I think they were, because judging by the reason that she herself stated she left, I think she will be back when some changes happen. And I think that's why they kept hitting home. If I do it this way, then I can't come back. If they said that at least 4 different times in that episode.
Yeah.
If I don't do it this way, then I can't come back. And I
just wonder if Shaunette's going to come back though. I mean, I don't know. I got the impression she might be done. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. The reason she's done is because there were certain changes she felt needed to be made on the show. So I think I think they might be working for those changes in the next season. And I think if that happens, I don't think she'll be back for a while.
Yeah.
But I think she'll make an appearance back there at some point, if not a full run.
Yeah. Maybe.
I really like that dynamic between AJ I
She's
would
stalking him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could almost see that as its own show. You know, between them. Maybe we'll get it.
Carol, Mina, AJ, and what's his dad's name?
I have no idea.
I told you I'm bad with names. I'm sorry.
Maybe
I usually know
private surgery practice. Is that a thing?
I'm not sure.
No idea.
I don't know.
I don't know if surgeons have private practices.
I don't know.
I
guess it would be if it was elective.
I guess you could.
Elective surgeries, maybe.
There's probably not a lot of elective heart surgeries, so maybe that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Was it really? Yeah.
Do we have anything else you want to say about The Resident?
Just congratulations on the adoption. I know we already talked about it, but I'm super happy for them.
Me too.
Congratulations on the robot.
Yes. Wonderful baby Gigi robot.
Oh, baby Gigi.
Looks just like Conrad. I'm kidding. Matt, if you're watching, I love you.
Me too.
I want that to be clear.
I know.
I'll always be my Logan Huntsberger.
Matt. Absolutely.
I am not Team Logan.
Oh.
Hey, Joshua, you're not allowed to speak anymore.
I know, right?
We revoke your privileges.
What happened?
Not with us.
We don't claim him.
Yes.
No.
I'm Team Conrad.
Okay, that way.
I can get behind that because Conrad is pretty awesome.
Yes,
definitely.
I don't know why my voice dropped like 6 octaves when I said that, but he's awesome. All right, so Joshua has never seen This Is Us, right?
Yeah, I have seen like 5 episodes. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I started binge watching it on Hulu, and we started watching it as a family. Of course, the first episode floored us, just like everybody else. That, you know, it's all you heard about, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, what are we watching? This is amazing!" You
right?
know? And then we got about 5 episodes in, and then life just kind of happens. So.
Okay. So, are you Team Jess? Or are you Team Dean? Oh no.
You know what?
I don't know.
I am no. No, I'm not Team Dean. I was at one point Team Dean, but you know what? Dean just does not have a backbone. If he had a backbone and could be a man a little bit, step up for himself and not whine, yeah, he probably would have been a lot better. But I'm close to Team Jess simply because I think he redeemed himself a little bit. But I've always known him as from Heroes, so.
Okay, so there's a lot of incentive for you to watch This Is Us because it's got a lot of great things going for it, including Milo.
Yes.
Now, also for those of you who don't know, if you hadn't watched our introduction video, go back and watch that so you can see what groups we're all a part of, so you can kind of get it straight while you're watching this. I know this is our premiere episode, so maybe you haven't watched our introduction, but that would be pretty important to you going here on out. Josh is an admin for our Gilmore Girl group, and that's why we keep talking about it. So, we are going to
naturally comes out.
Yes, we are going to naturally introduce Josh for the stuff conversations, and he is going to have fun things to say because this show is for everybody. It's for everybody.
It is.
It is.
And now I just finished watching it 45 minutes ago, so I'm pretty fresh.
It's all fresh with you.
On what's going on with This Is Us. So, Josh, quick breakdown. You know who Jack is. Obviously, you know that it goes from back when he was alive to now he's dead and what their lives are now. In this episode, we're going over Kevin, who is marrying his baby mama.
Gotcha.
Randall and Kevin are back together really fully for the first time, which I'm so excited about. I love how Randall took control of that. Mandy Moore obviously saw in the first couple episodes that it's not Mandy Moore. What's her real name in the show?
Rebecca.
Rebecca is married to Miguel. Now you saw that if you saw the first 5 episodes. Yeah. So there's that. So, and then Toby is married to Kate. So all the Pearsons are getting hitched. And that's tonight's episode was the bachelorette party for Kevin's fiance and the bachelor party for Kevin. And now that Kevin's sober, I laughed really hard at that bachelor party.
Yeah.
Would they say the lamest bachelor party ever?
Nikki said it at least 4 different times.
It kind of was.
My favorite
jigsaw puzzle.
That's what I was going to bring up. In the very beginning of this episode, Nikki is Jack Pearson's brother, who they never knew about, and they just found him.
Right. Spoiler for poor Josh. Here,
That's okay. That's
right. You got like 5 seasons before you get to that point, so you're fine.
Look, I watch a lot of Doctor Who, so I'm used to things going in backwards.
There you go.
There you go. The opening scene when I love the scene in the opening when Kevin is packing up his room and Uncle Nicky, who is he's got to be in his 60s, he comes in there.
Yeah.
And I love how he shuffles from room to room. First of all,
Yes.
you don't know this about him yet, Josh, and I stress the word yet, but he's this older guy who shuffles, and he's got this gray beard, and he's kind of like hunched over. He's got his glasses, and he's just a really super awkward, delightful old man. And I love Nicky. But he comes in with this little jigsaw under his arm. He's like, "Hey, Kevin, you got any room in your bag for a jigsaw puzzle?" And Kevin's like, "No, man, you're not bringing a jigsaw puzzle to my bachelor party." And Nicky just goes, "All right," and turned around and walks out of the room. And that's the opening scene.
It's so funny.
That's why I love Nicky. I know that he had some bad moments. But
he made me mad, but I do love him.
Moment.
Okay.
I did have the same reaction everyone else had to it.
What is going on, Maury?
I was okay. So Jerry Maguire, everyone familiar with that movie?
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, when I think of that, I think I need the money or show me the money. That's all I think. I don't think about the other romantic stuff. I just think of that.
Oh, I think about the romantic. Yeah.
No, I need to rewatch it. I know I need to rewatch it. I need to refresh. It's been many, many years.
Cutest kid in the world in that movie. Yeah. I love that kid. Yeah.
Jake Nicky. Fun name to say. Nicky is in his name, by the way. So the backstory behind Kevin and Madison is that Kevin and Madison slept together, and he was basically never gonna she's his sister's best friend, and it was it was her aide, right? Her assistant. Madison was Kate's assistant. No, Kate was Madison.
They met in the
food addict.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Meeting.
Yeah, because Madison was bulimic or whatever it was. Yeah. Yeah.
So Kate and Madison were best friends, and then Kevin was having a hard time and he slept with Madison, and then he tried to kind of pull back a little bit. She ended up pregnant with twins, and he proposed to her after they had done life together, twins, for a little while. He's like, let's just get married.
By the way, still in COVID, real babies, not robot babies.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Excellent point.
Just saying.
But one of them could have been Madison's, though.
But then there was the other one in Haley. So I don't know. I'm off topic here, but still, real babies. NBC pulled it off. Why didn't Fox?
Yeah, Disney. So Disney, we love you too.
I digress.
You're fantastic. Please support us. But so that's the backstory, is that's why they're getting married. That's how they started together, is they got pregnant, and so they decided to try to make a relationship of it so mom and dad could be together. And in this episode, they're watching Jerry Maguire up at their cabin, and Nicky says, "Holy crap, that's about you. I mean, you even look like Jerry Maguire. This is exactly your relationship." And Kevin's like, "Well, how so?" "Well, you got involved with the kids first, and you fell in love with the kids first, and then you're just marrying her because you feel like it's the right thing to do." And I get that that's a terrible thing to say at the guy's bachelor party a couple days before his wedding. I get that.
Yeah.
And he should have thought about it more. He shouldn't have said it.
Like the worst thing you could have said. I mean, it was awful.
But he wasn't wrong about how it started.
He wasn't.
No, he wasn't. But
he could have chosen his words more carefully. But we also know that that's not who Nicky is, and they still wanted him there anyway.
No. But I don't remember his exact words, but I felt like he was implying that is still why Kevin is marrying her.
He said, "You're marrying her because you feel it's the right thing to do."
Which I don't think is I don't know that I feel like that's the case. So I think he's wrong on that. Maybe that's why
it's why it started, but
they decided to be together. I don't even think that's why he proposed. I mean, I think that's why they decided to be a couple, but not why he agreed. He wanted to marry her.
I don't know. I feel like he still had a lot of moments of doubt. I think that when he proposed, I think he felt like, I want to make sure, because she basically said, when you go away on this movie, you need to make sure this is what you want. And I think she said that because at that moment he was still unsure if he wanted to be with her or if he wanted to be with her because she was the mother to his babies.
But isn't Kevin always full of self-doubt? I mean, I feel like that's just his MO. But
that's the good thing about Madison, is that she pushes him to think about these things. And when he does, he realizes, wait, no, that's not why I want to marry you. And I think that's what happened. So I think that I think he proposed because she was the mother of his babies. But when she pushed him to think about it, he's like, well, no, I actually think I fall in love with you along the way. And I think that he came to that realization. I think that's the point of Nicky's speech, is because Sophie happened to call that morning. Kevin was full of doubt, or I don't even think he was full of doubt. I think he was starting to think of what could have been, which is never a good thing for Kevin. But Nikki saying that, look at Kevin's reaction. That's going to make Kevin, and it did. It made Kevin go back to his room, think about what he was feeling, think about what his thoughts or what his feelings were. And it made him realize that, no, I don't even want to toy with the idea of Sophie. I'm done. I'm here for Madison.
Yeah. Which is good, because I think the Sophie storyline is played out and I'm over it. So
in the last 2 episodes of This Is Us, since this is our first This Is Us episode 2, we didn't get to talk about last week. Kevin is a movie star. He made a big act. Well, you see that in the first 5 episodes that he's an actor. So it's on the cover of the news magazines that he's getting married. He's got these twins, and then his ex-girlfriend who told him repeatedly, I don't ever want to have kids. And Kevin said, well, I do. So they broke up. She happened to see him when he was in his agent's office and they talked via Zoom. And she started saying the most awful things to him. Like, I was more mad at her than Nikki. She kept saying things like, I'm glad it's you, because how did she word it? She basically said, you have no mind of your own other than your partner, whatever they want, you want. So good for you for getting married. Like,
what?
And he was really doubting himself.
Yeah. I would that.
When she said that, I don't know that, again, I'm not sure that I disagreed with her, but I saw it as a positive to his personality, that he finds a way of going back to the first episode of making, lemonade out of lemons. I mean, he has a way of doing that. I think a lot of times like how Jack would do it. And so I think it's one of his better qualities.
I do too. I like that about Kevin. And I think I wasn't very happy with Zoe doing that.
No, me neither.
I don't agree with what Zoe said. I don't think that's what he does. I don't think that he's like, you know what? I would prefer to do your thing. I think his thought pattern is, I want to do this because it makes you happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think she was wrong in her assessment. And that's what made him doubt, because all the good things that he's done, she trivialized it to be, you're just a follower. You don't have a mind of your own. And that's not who Kevin is. And so and people are like, oh yeah, I got so mad when she convinced him to watch this other show. Like, why? Because he wants to make his overtired, just given birth to twins fiance. He wanted to make her happy and turn on a show that she likes. I mean,
right.
That's a compromise.
That's marriage. Sacrifice. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, I'm sure there'd be times when she would do the same. I mean, that's what you do.
Exactly. So. And it's not like she hasn't already compromised some things for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the fact that people were upset by that just blew my mind. So his ex-girlfriend, the past episode, Kevin has really, really, really bad commitment issues. He always runs. He always makes himself afraid. And so Zoe calls him last episode. And this episode, his ex-wife, who is Sophie, who he's been with since he was basically 5, happens to call him out of the blue and says, oh, haha, I didn't think you'd pick up. Come on, man. I mean, I liked Sophie before. I don't really like her right now.
I mean, what she
Kevin is.
That kind of congratulation was like, you should have sent that over a text.
Yes.
Like, that's a text worthy thing to say.
I think that's an
you
email
don't need to call
worthy thing. Don't give your email that man.
Yeah, I agree.
I still like Sophie.
But she knew his connection to her, and she knew what Kevin was like.
And
she did it anyway. I think the explosive story is, you could see she had no engagement ring on her hand or no wedding ring.
Yeah.
The explosive story is that she's single.
Probably.
And her ex-husband, who she still is a little bit in love with, is getting married. And I think part of her was like, I want to see if there's still a chance. Why are you dancing, Amanda?
I know, I'm wondering over there. Do you want him back with Sophie?
I like Kevin and Sophie. I am one of the
how dare you?
5%.
How did I not notice about you? Oh,
Josh, in your very, very expert opinion, what is your idea?
I'm Googling a lot of these names. I'm trying to, I recognize, of course, obviously Kevin, of course, obviously I've seen the first 5 episodes. I remember him from Smallville. He played all, that's, I guess I'm, throwing back to all of that. Who was the girl that was it that they went to I think it was like the cabin with? Was that Sophie? Was that? Oh, okay. Then I do know what we're talking about then. Okay.
Don't you jump to Team Sophie without having all the facts, Joshua.
No.
I like Madison. I don't dislike Madison. If they end up married,
You're dancing at the idea that Kevin's going to leave Madison, who is the mother of his twin babies, to go be with Sophie.
You know, I was totally on board with Sophie when they tried it again.
Yes.
Yeah. I was all for it. I wanted to see it work out, but it didn't work out again. I mean, how many times do you have to do this before you realize that you are not meant to be together?
And here's the thing. I think his tie to Sophie has more to do with his dad than with Sophie. I think she knew his dad. I think she was there as he was growing up, so she knew that and understood that relationship dynamic between him and his dad. I think that Kevin shared an awful lot with her when he felt like he disappointed his dad, and then when his dad died, she was there with him and she knew what he went through and she was a part of that. I think Sophie is the last female in his life outside of his immediate family who has a connection to Jack.
Yeah.
And I think that this episode opened with Jack and him, and very quickly after involved a call from Sophie, is confirming that. So I don't think he's actually in love with Sophie. I think he has that nostalgic feeling towards Sophie because she's his last romantic tie she's the last tie to Jack that's not immediate family.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it is about her. And I think for her, it's just that Kevin has always been a fallback for her, or someone who's available as a fallback.
Yeah.
Because it was her first love.
Yeah.
It was. I know him and Madison will end up together. I mean, right, I know that's for the greater good. They should be together. But it's not like I'd be mad if
I would.
Sophie.
I would.
There are some internet theories about Nikki though, like Nikki and Jack on the internet, like some crazy theories here.
Share two.
Huh?
Can you share one or two?
Well, they're trying to say that. Let's see here. Almost like they're trying to compare, like if they were one and the same or swapped. I don't even know if that even makes sense.
I don't think that's a valid theory.
Yeah, I don't know. That just hearing from what you're saying, it doesn't see that, but
there is some weird connection. There's something weird that happened between Jack and Nikki that I don't think we're done hearing about.
No,
but just going off of their story of the past, I think that's not even possible. But he did come back in a weird way.
I'm intrigued now. I need to catch up.
Yes, you do. See, catch up, and then you can really, really jump into these. So,
all right. So going back to Kevin. Okay. So we were talking about like why I think he's so connected to Sophie, and I think a lot of that goes because he's like he's such a romantic, and I think it's because he wants to have the relationship, like you were saying, that Jack had.
Yeah.
But I really loved Miguel's speech to him.
Oh, I did too.
I mean, it was just confirming that not every love story has to be this fairy tale that was written in the stars, that sometimes you just make it work and that still works out. And I really like that because I think that's what's happening. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
And I do love the progression of those speeches. Because you have Nikki, the first one to say, "This is the lamest bachelor party I've ever been at," to which Randall says, "Stop talking." And then you have
poor Toby. He's in a bad place,
this relationship that's identical to yours is never gonna work.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and I think that's part of Kevin's problem is normally Toby isn't like that, but he's surrounded by these like fairy tale type relationships, Jack and Rebecca, Beth and Randall, and even Kate and Toby most of the time. And so I think he's just wanting to have that, and that's what's causing him to doubt that maybe because his isn't like that.
Yeah, let's talk about Toby.
Oh, poor Toby.
Making me sad because I used to love him so much, and I wish he would just get help.
Yes, he needs help. And what is he doing going to San Francisco and not talking to Kate about it first? That's really worrying me.
At first, I was like, "Oh no, they live on the other coast." But then I was like, "Wait, no, same coast."
They live in
how
LA.
far from San Francisco do they live?
They live
in LA, so I don't know how far that is.
Drive, is it?
I think it
is
several hours.
Kind of far. I think, San Francisco to LA. I think it's the other side.
Because San Francisco's down like towards Southern California, isn't it?
Well,
I don't know. I don't know
if
much.
You'd like to know how good I am at geography. When Hurricane Katrina happened, I was at college, and we were all sitting around our lunch table in our cafeteria, and they were saying, "Yeah, we're gonna go to Texas and set up there." I was like, "Why? Louisiana's on the other coast. Why are you going to Texas? And every single person at that table stopped and just stared at me open mouth.
Okay.
Those you don't know, Texas touches Louisiana.
Don't worry, I'm good at geometry either.
And Texas is just huge. It's a
whole nother country.
It's annoying.
So how far is San Francisco from LA?
It is almost 6 hours.
Oh, okay, that is a big deal. I think that's probably going to be the downfall of what they have, because Kate just found something she absolutely loves. Yeah. And what a terrible time for Toby to be like, I mean, I get it because he needs a job and no one where he's at is hiring. I understand that frustration. I get that. But I agree. He needs to talk to Kate first. And I'm sure Kate has done a lot for him and Kate has given up a lot for him. I don't think Kate would give up the job, but I think that she would be more amenable to finding a workable solution for both of them to have jobs. If he was in San Francisco, I'm sure that she could find together they're better.
Definitely.
But it also was just he'd like to be considered for the position.
Yeah.
He didn't take a job, so maybe his plan is after this weekend I'm going to go talk to Kate and we'll work it out.
I still think there should be the conversation before he even.
I agree. Even just a phone call, a quick conversation, like something.
Yeah.
Speaking of phone calls, okay, they're playing the newlywed game.
Yeah.
When he said, Madison knows I'm not going to age, or I refuse to age, why did that make her think that particular comment? Why did it make her think of back in the cabin when he's given his speech?
Because in his speech, he said to Sophie about how he could see their whole future together, growing old, the kids, and everything. And he says growing old.
He said to Sophie what Madison said to him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the growing old thing.
Yeah.
Because I listened to that speech and I was like, what? I'm waiting for that spot to happen and I didn't hear it. But I was listening for the 40 thing though.
Yeah. But I don't want him to read into that either, because I mean, he made that speech at 20 versus 40, which, I mean, you're a totally different person at 40. I don't think you need to compare yourself to. I mean,
I don't think he will. I think Madison will.
You're more romantic and all of that when you're younger, and I don't know.
I mean, we saw him delete Sophie's number at the end, so
yes,
maybe that was a.
I think absolutely would. So. But I think that because in the end we see Madison rewinding that.
Yeah,
rewound it twice.
It's bothering her.
But I think what she. Like in Cruel Summer, I think what she thinks she's seeing is not what it actually is that she's seeing, because I had to rewind it a couple times to see what exactly she was looking at, and it's Kevin has a little twitch in his eye and he kind of like cocks his head to the side like I don't want to answer that question, but I think it almost looks like he's starting to smile, but then he pulls it back. So I think that Kevin probably remembered that, because I think Sophie had just called maybe, or no, I don't know what she called. Anyway, I think he might have remembered that.
Yeah.
If Kate does, I think he might have too. So I think he remembered that fondly in that moment. And I think that he didn't want to give Madison an honest answer or an answer that belonged to somebody else. I think he wanted to give Madison her own answer.
And she laughed pretty hard after he said it. So maybe it's an inside joke.
But she didn't laugh later on when she was watching that alone in her bed, and she rewound it 2 times in the end where she looked really sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't help that wasn't the paint. It was the painting before or after. I don't know, because I mean,
that was closer to
because that part. I mean, they obviously were getting to her when she was trying to explain, their relationship. I think that was getting to her too.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I loved their bachelorette party. I mean,
that was amazing.
That was definitely not a lame party. I thought that was hilarious.
What did Rebecca call him?
Kate. I don't remember. What did she call him?
You're bad, Joe. You're a bad man, or something. About he just went. I know.
No, my favorite part is when.
I also loved when he asked, "Should I wear briefs or nothing?"
Yes, she said the latter. I was like, yes, Rebecca.
Just see an old Rebecca.
She's old, at him. But not dead. You know. And then what was it? No. Beth was like, I'm gonna need you to turn to the left. There it is. You know, I was like, oh my
Josh,
God,
just so you know what's happening.
Oh.
I'm guessing there was no jigsaw puzzles at this party.
No jigsaw puzzles. Much better party.
No, there was, and he's not a stripper. It was, what was the name of the restaurant he worked for?
I don't remember what it was.
Prosecco and paint. Is that what it was?
Prosecco and
paint. I don't. Yeah.
What it was he was a model who would come over. He'd make you drinks. He'd make you Prosecco drinks. And then you would paint him like in an art. He would be a model in a painting class, and you would paint him. but he does it.
He's nude.
Yeah. He doesn't
and he's Madison's ex-boyfriend.
He can wear clothing if they want him to. But he ended up dating Kevin's fiance. He used to date her, but he ghosted her.
Oh.
I like that the opening scene of that. Thank God they didn't show more than they did because I was really nervous about that. But when Rebecca's like, and I can't get his nipples the right color. Like, what is happening to Rebecca right now?
I loved it.
Orange.
Yeah, just add a little orange.
Also, did you see the array of I wonder if the actresses actually painted those?
Oh, I loved them.
One of them looked like Teen Wolf.
Oh. I put it, I don't know if I sent you my other notes, but I even put in the notes.
I didn't get This Is Us notes, no.
Oh, okay. I said these paintings are amazingly funny.
Oh, it was so funny.
And did you guys love the Kevison banner that Kate made on the
I didn't see what it said. I saw Kevin. I was like, wait, why does it start with his name?
Kevison. It's their
I like that.
Their ship name.
I didn't know that either.
That was a little thing I saw that I was like, that was cute.
I loved it.
That's cute.
I really do. I think that I like that her party was just Madison's bachelorette party ended up being her Randall's wife, Kate, and Kate, Randall, and Kevin's mom. That was it. So three of the girls at a party. So it's kind of sad, but the end scene where she's talking, well, the end of one of the end of Madison scenes where she's talking to Kate in the kitchen, and Kate says, "Are you happy? Besides the fact that it's my brother, are you actually happy? I need to know." And I love how honest and vulnerable Madison is about how she actually loves Kevin and how their life together is good. And even her answers, I love that Kevin knew her answers of, she just want to sit in bed with me and the twins all day. I think that more than the twitch of his eye when he talked about the 40 comment was more indicative of what's going to happen with them. But then when she says to Kate, "Girlfriends don't come easily to me as a parent by my guest list tonight." But what she tells Kevin is, "I'm so sorry. Most of my girlfriends couldn't fly out."
Right.
So the real story is she doesn't have enough girlfriends that she would even consider friend enough to invite to this party other than Kate and Rebecca and Beth.
Yeah.
Which I think is both sweet and sad, but it shows that she is still kind of afraid to show Kevin all parts of her.
Yeah.
And I think that compiled with the end scene where she's rewinding that video, I think she's sure of her feelings, but I think she's still uncertain of his. Yeah. And I think she'll remain that way until the day they get married.
Yeah.
Maybe
he'll pull out a wonderful Jack Pearson style speech for her and make her realize. Yeah.
I hope so.
What were you going to say, Josh?
Jack.
No, I just said that's tough.
And I think that Kevin is more like Jack than he thinks he is.
Definitely.
I do.
And I think he has a lot of Jack moments. I don't think he sees him that way because he puts Jack on such a high pedestal. Mm-hmm. He thinks Jack has hung the moon and he will never measure up. I think he says something along those lines, doesn't he, at some point in the season?
I think so. Yeah.
It sounds familiar.
But you see how he is with his kids. And I think he even says to Madison that he wants to be his dad to his kids. But if I remember, I think it was when they were in the car. But you see how he is with his kids and how much he loves those babies and how much he's growing. And I think that helped him to love Madison was he loved those babies so much that he saw Madison in a new light with how much she loves those babies. And I think that shared thing is more cemented than his sort of weak love with Sophie because of her connection to his dad. Because Madison now has a greater connection to his dad because she's the mother of his children.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that the way it's supposed to be? I mean, I feel like most of us that have kids, I mean, like, don't you fall more in love with your spouses when you see like the love they share for their kids? I mean, I don't know. I think that's the way it is.
And Dan Fogelman better not do his wife dirty.
I don't think he will, and I think that helps her case. That I think.
Did you know, Josh, that Madison is Dan Fogelman's wife?
I did.
Yeah.
Dan Fogelman's the creator of the show, and Kevin's fiance is his wife.
Oh, okay. So
IRL.
Yes.
In real life. Okay. Well, she's got
longevity.
Exactly. Job security.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think she'll get a happy ending.
Yeah.
That's why Kevin has to marry her. Okay.
See?
Yeah.
I just needed you to say it out loud, Amanda.
I do. I want Kevin and Madison together for the kids. That's fine.
Together for Kevin and Madison.
I'm also a little mad that if we don't get some kind of, I don't feel like we ever got closure with Kevin and Sophie. It was just always so off and on and off and on. And
yeah,
I need closure when it comes to relationships, and I don't feel like I've got it.
She's perfectly happy over in Virgin River with Jack, so she's fine.
That's true. Who plays teenage Kate, and why do I know her? Not Kate. Not Kate. Sophie.
No, Sophie. The Fosters. It's Emma.
The Fosters. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where she's.
Her hair's darker on there. Yeah.
I think that Sophie and Kevin, they didn't build each other up. I think that Sophie and Kevin, they loved each other almost superficially because of how not all romances that start young are like this. Like my daughter has been best friends with this boy since she was 2, and we're kind of hoping they're going to marry him. She's going to marry him. But so not all relationships are weak like that. But I think that with Kevin and Sophie, I think that as Kevin didn't deal with his problems and they just kept piling on, and he was not open or honest with her, their relationship had no other choice but to be surface level. And I think that's why they never worked. But Kevin and Madison opened up fully to him, which encouraged him to be fully honest with her. And I think she is actually the first woman that, even over his mom and his sister, that he has been fully 100% honest and vulnerable with.
And she accepts him.
Yeah, exactly.
For who he is. He doesn't have to play some part like I feel like he does with almost everybody else.
And he does with Madison. I think he is also the first. I don't even think Madison shared everything with Kate. I think he's the first person that Madison shared those deep things with. So I don't just want them to be together for the kids. I want them to be together because they are better together, because they encourage each other to be who they are and know that they are valuable without having all this added crap.
You know what I'm starting to think, though, now that I'm
Madison and Kevin are perfect
about it. I'm starting to think I like, because I honestly do. I like Kevin and Madison. I think I would be happy with Kevin and Sophie having some kind of at least friendship.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could. I don't know. But I think even if they had that friendship, I think it would make me happier. Just because because
of their history.
Yeah, because they have this such long history. And I feel like I've dedicated 5 years of my life to this. And I mean, I want some kind of relationship.
Yeah.
But Maureen?
I don't really care either way. I mean, honestly.
I didn't want to interrupt you. What if in the flash forward when Kevin's old and his mom's in the bed dying, what if when he says, is she here yet? Or whatever he says about the person coming, what if it's Sophie coming to say goodbye to her mom, his mom, because she's the last link to their childhood that has a link to Jack and she loved his mom? Because
I think they were talking about Kate, but
see, Toby, I think already gives kind of he doesn't say it directly, but he says she's coming with the son, but
yeah,
I have to believe that Madison and Kevin are still together, because I think that once Kevin is married, the way the relationship is, I don't think he would let that go easily. So I think either if Madison's not there, I think Madison would have either had to have died or Madison had to be the one to leave him.
Yeah.
But I don't think either one of those things will happen. So I'm wondering if maybe it's Sophie that's got to come and say goodbye, because maybe Rebecca and her Alzheimer's, maybe she's reverting back to Kevin.
Maybe she thinks they're still married.
Sophie.
That's possible.
I mean, it's far fetched, but
yeah, I'm so intrigued right now. It's like,
See?
Start this binge right now.
Yes, do it. This is really why we wanted you on the show, so you can become another This Is Us fan. You only have one more season too, so you gotta watch it fast.
It's a trap.
Unless they do a spinoff, which I hope that maybe we will for some reason. I don't know why or how. Kid spinoff. I would love it.
But I think
maybe like Jack Jr.
It's true. Right? I think you got to remember too is that if you start watching it now, you don't have to wait for the finality of what's coming. Because we've had 5 seasons where we're like, what is going to happen? What is going on right now? But you get the experience of, sweet. Okay, I don't have to wait that long to find answers.
That's the beauty of it. It's like, okay, next episode.
I had a writing teacher in high school who was probably the best influence on me that I've ever had ever. And everyone loved him. And he always used to say, good writing evokes sensation. I have never cried more in a show than I have on this one. Like not ever, not even with a movie.
Yeah.
I've never cried as much as I've cried in the show. And it's not a bad thing, but there are times when I'm like, I don't know if I have the headspace to watch This Is Us because I'm just going to like vomit from my eyes for hours and hours and hours. And but it's a good cry and it's really, really well done.
Yeah. I think in the first episode, seeing all three babies, in the crib, I think everybody was just like bawling. It was like, oh my God.
That first season was really hard. So was the second.
I think they're all hard.
Amanda's raising her hand. Yes.
I've never cried on This Is Us.
Are you
what is wrong with you?
No, and I cry over commercials, guys. I am you can look at me the wrong way and I will cry. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because I know everybody else cries and I try to be strong, but the show has never once made me cry.
I think that's a robot.
My big confession. No, because I mean, it's very strange. I cry on every other show I watch.
Every other show.
On Grey's Anatomy.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Grey's Anatomy is the only one that gives This Is Us a run for its money on the crying, I think.
Mickey Mouse is really emotional.
That too. Go ahead.
It's the music. I mean, I think, even just the few episodes that I've seen, it's very musically driven. And I think music like really brings emotion out in a lot of people. And I think that's kind of one of the things. It's very well done. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just even the opening, scenes, the opening, the theme, music and everything else like that. It just kind of sets the tone. And it's just this cheery, but yet somber, but almost like a memory, is what it sounds like, and it's like, oh, okay, well, let's unlock some, some feels right now.
Yeah. And, even the cinematography in there is really well done because they zoom in on just the right moments at just the right angle to get, and the act. I mean, obviously I can't talk enough greatness about the show, but the cast is really, really well done and really well picked. And they are those characters so deeply that when they zoom, like Sterling K. Brown, especially, that man has got some amazing facial acting skills. Because there are moments when they zoom in on his face, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just, I feel every single emotion he's feeling, and it's just, it's really well done from point A to point B. Really well done.
Yeah, Sterling and Justin have definitely made me cry, probably more than anybody on the show. I mean,
Jack Pearson has made me cry. Him and Kate, I think, were my two sucker punches.
Well, I mean, I think I cried when we saw his death, but I don't know. Kevin and Randall's struggles throughout have probably been the ones that have gotten to me the most of the time.
Yeah.
You didn't cry on that scene where Kevin is standing outside that window and he's lost his necklace. And
oh my gosh, don't talk about that scene. Oh my gosh, that scene is so hard to watch.
Oh my gosh.
I sobbed so hard on that.
Yes, me too.
Okay, I remember I did cry one time, and now I can't remember why. And now
it's probably that one. That one was awful.
The top times This Is Us made people cry.
There you go, Josh. Look up that article. Get prepared.
I know it's gonna.
Well, what is it now? You got 3 minutes to tell us.
Let's do it. Let's see if we cried during those moments.
Oh, that necklace scene. I forgot about that scene. That scene was so
That was
rough.
the worst. That was the worst.
Justin Hartley was a master in that scene. Yeah. Just ridiculous
I was trying to think.
acting.
There's been another time when I'm trying to think. There's one time that Sterling has made me really cry too. One of his breakdowns.
Sterling is, oh my gosh, that breakdown moment when he's in his office.
His big old tears that run down his face.
I'm getting emotional. When Sterling was in his when Sterling was in his office and Kevin came up there and Kevin just held him.
Hugged him.
Oh my gosh. Sweet. That was so, I just felt so
Oh, I can tell you another one that I cried that I remember, and maybe it's
why are we talking about this?
I don't know. And I don't know, Maureen, I bet you did too, because you're a girl mom. So in the one where Kate's telling the story about I guess what she needs at the end of her story when it's little toddler Kate, and then it comes to the end of it and it's Rebecca there, and it's she just needed her mama, and I was I remember bawling at that one because I just was thinking about my girls. I don't know.
Well, I figured mine out.
What is it?
What is it?
It's gonna be something stupid, isn't it?
It's when Dr. K visits his wife.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that one did it too.
Yeah, that made me cry, but there were way more emotional moments in that show.
You know, the bad day.
The scene with Dr. K when he's like when he's talking to his wife who's not there at the table. I think when I watched that, like it hadn't been long since my grandma had passed away, and her and my grandpa had been married for like, almost 60 years. And so I remember that one really got to me. But
you met Dr. K, didn't you, Josh? He's the one who delivered the babies.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He was one of my favorite characters. I loved him.
He still. That actor is one of my favorite actors, so he was instantly a favorite. Yeah.
There's another.
It has 4 crying faces. So that means it's a very emotional moment.
I want that article.
Is crying face emojis. Why are you torturing yourself, Jeanette? Why do you want to do that?
I don't know. I like misery. Okay.
Just send it in the group chat. We'll all read it. But the other scene was when she's talking about her dad, when he died, and she starts talking about her dog and how if she wouldn't have sent her dog, she wouldn't have sent him back in to get her dog, then he would have been alive. But when teenage Kate, when she punishes herself for her dad's death, it's just, oh my gosh. I mean, the cast is so good.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hannah is so good that yeah, definitely.
All right, so do we have anything else to say about this episode before we close out?
Oh yes, Nikki searching for Sally.
Oh,
yes.
Oh my god. When Miguel walked in the room, what do you do, Nikki? Nothing. Why? So just so you know, Josh, Susan Brooks was his love, Nikki's love, that he didn't show up. She asked him to meet him before the Vietnam War. He didn't show up. And then he got shipped to Vietnam, and then he went Nikki. So the end of the episode shows him searching for her. And there was a podiatrist, there was a gynecologist, there was a painter, there was a CPA.
Just checking the names off the list. Nope, not you.
I don't see her being the CPA.
No. I don't know what my husband is. I don't remember much about it.
I want
a car too.
After.
Well, I'm not a CPA. I'm just an accountant.
Oh,
yeah, different. I knew that was, but because I remember I called that when we first saw that episode with her because she said she was moving to California and then he was going to be in LA, and so I was like, oh, he's going to find her. She's still going to be there.
I've been hoping for it.
I just love how he hit it. Nikki is the most awkward human being, and I am so here for it. I love his character.
That's because he sat in that trailer by himself
for years,
decades.
Yeah,
because I think he was 20 when he got into the trailer, and he's now like in his 60s at least.
Yeah.
So Nikki is Jack's brother. He has been alone in a trailer that has basically been rotting.
Oh my!
The alcohol problem by himself for like 45 years.
Yeah.
So,
and now he's just come out to the world, and it's a mess.
Poor guy.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
The world's a mess, not him.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Kevin says, "I know you've been by yourself for a long time, and you don't know how to talk to real people." Oh, Nikki.
I feel like that's all of us after this pandemic. I mean,
really.
I don't
know how to wear real pants anymore.
No.
Me neither.
No.
I never want to again.
No. I have on my Schitt's Creek pants right now.
There you go.
Shout out.
Schitt's Creek.
I got on my Gilmore Girls shirt, so
Gilmore Girl one's coming out on Wednesday. Watch that one.
You got cats and tats.
All right. I think that's. Do we have anything else we need to talk about for This Is Us? It is Jeanette's bedtime.
It is.
Jeanette, by the way, is a real guest host tonight. She's filling in for one of our team members.
I was not prepared, so, but I think I did okay.
Josh handled it very well. Josh didn't know anything about This Is Us, and you still pushed through it, my man.
I enjoyed it, and I think I'm gonna actually.
He's gonna go watch.
Go watch.
The moment we say goodbye, Josh is heading to Hulu.
Yeah, probably so. Actually,
just start with the first episode and just binge through.
Rewatch all of it.
Rewatch.
Absolutely. In fact, I finished watching something on Hulu earlier, and it automatically started playing This Is Us, like the pilot over again. So it was, it's
destiny.
Fake. God is telling you some things, my friend. I just had this flashback of Michael Scott going, Pam Beasley going, I feel God in this Chili's tonight. Okay.
Office. Shout out.
Well, guys, we thank you for listening along with us. We hope that you enjoyed it and you had as much fun talking as we did. We like to laugh. We like to be silly. And we like to be right about all of our theories. So let us know if you think we were right or wrong or what you think is going to happen next. Talk to us about the finale with Resident. What do you think is coming next? And we'll still talk about The Resident through the summer. It's not gone yet. We'll keep giving you updates and we'll keep discussing it. There's a lot of robots to talk about and a lot of loves to talk about. So keep watching and keep tuning in, and we will see you on Wednesday. Have a great week, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hey.